welcome back to the Strength Starts Here podcast. We got Troy with me here, and our guest today is Roy Orrantia. Did I say that right?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
He's a 2022 Arizona Strongman, an elite level power lifter, totaling over 2,000.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So why don't we, Troy, if you want to ask him a couple of questions, get started here.
Yeah, so let's just touch on the accolades real quick. So 2022, you took first at a Pro-Am Arizona Strongest Man, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I was very fortunate to take first.
Yeah, absolutely. So which was huge because there's some big names in that class with you, and it wasn't a small class. There's some pretty decorated athletes in that competition. So well done. So you did that. But if I'm not mistaken, so you pro strongman that weekend, but then the weekend before was it APF that you totaled a 2,000 APF Federation. So you totaled 2,000 in a powerlifting meet one weekend, and then the next weekend you go and win your strongman pro card.
That's right.
Yeah. So that right there speaks for itself. Like, I would say the top strength athlete in Arizona right now.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
West Coast, possibly. We'll see. Now you have a couple comps coming up, and you have APF Worlds. Is that the next
in Florida?
One? And then a week after that, it's OSG.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
What dates are these? They're in December?
In December would be America's Strongest Man.
Yeah, so November is going to be APF Worlds and OSG. If I remember right, OSG is November 12th?
Yeah, it's November 11th through 13th. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then that would put you at like the 5th for APF Worlds.
Yes.
Okay. And then, again, December 16th, America's Strongest Man in Vegas at the Olympia Expo. Is that right?
Yeah, that's super exciting. They changed to the Olympia this year, so first time at the Olympia.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Yeah. And I've been to the expo there and watched the strongman, and it's quite the turnout. So it's pretty cool to be able to go there, and you won that qualification off of Arizona Strongest Man, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we won that qualification off of Arizona Strongest.
And then OSG, totally separate qualification. You actually had to do the online qualifier.
Right. So I had to battle with the online qualifier for those 3-4 weeks. Ended up getting, I think, third in the qualifier. So
now that's open class. So there's 300 that submitted videos, and you took third. All right.
Yeah, we're doing okay.
Yeah. And you just put up a big number today on a deadlift?
Yes, sir. We did 859 for 2 singles on deadlift. So
is that kind of
powerlifting style?
What's that?
Shooting for a little bit more here.
Straps, no suit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So this is you're warming up for your powerlifting meet here coming up?
Yeah, that's right. We're just warming up.
That's just a warm up, right?
It's supposed to be, yeah. The goal at Worlds is to break the world record in the 308 class deadlift, which would be 958. Yeah.
Who holds that right now?
I believe it's Konstantin Konstanovas that owns that deadlift record in the 308 class. Yeah. So
just for everybody watching here, you give us a little background on how old you are, where you grew up, kind of how you kind of got into this lifting in general, and both of these, you're dual athletes, so both strongman and powerlifting. Just kind of give us a little quick rundown of that.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm 24 years old. I'm going to be 25 in January. Born and raised in Arizona my whole life. So there's that. I've been lifting since I was heavy lifting since I was 14. But I started exercising and stuff like that when I was about 12 because I was really overweight as a kid. So like at 12 years old, I was about 200 pounds, right? And not really feeling myself. And then flash forward to freshman in high school, I'm 14 years old and I weigh about 140 at 5'8". So we dropped a bit of weight, right? But then I want to get into football where I was just 140. So I was just getting tossed around like a friggin' dummy, you know? So the goal from there was to steadily gain weight and put on size. So I was really lucky at my high school. We had like 10 huge like hammer strength half racks. We had the platforms with them. We had like 2 sets of dumbbells that went up to 100. So we had like a really, really good facility. And I basically just lived in that gym and chased those records at my high school, actually. So there was like a 700-pound club, 800-pound club, 900 and 1,000, right? Which your total would be your squat, bench, and then power clean. So by the end of high school, I was benching 340, squat 585, and then my power clean I think was 325. And then I ended up with the top total, which was 1250 at the school. So after that, I really started to give powerlifting a good look, and ended up chasing a 700-pound deadlift for a couple of years until I finally hit it. I think I was 19. I was 19 when I first deadlifted 700, and then I just decided to go, full into it. And I looked into Strongman, started training out of Liberty Performance Training for a little bit. I was there for a good amount of time, and then from there, now we're at Advanced Training Powerlifting over in Chandler. And yeah, just chasing those numbers really is the dream. So yeah.
And you're just getting started. It's just a strong start.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Awesome. So what, you were a little bit overweight when you were younger.
Yep.
What kind of, you said you weren't feeling yourself, but was it the girls? You started to get a little bit, the high school time frame. You want that better bod for the gals, or what was the reason behind it?
Yeah, no, I definitely got into it for the vanity of it, right? I wanted to look a lot better. I want to have like walkboard abs and everything. I remember what really got me started was actually that TV show called Biggest Loser, if you guys remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I got a lot of my information from there, did a lot of like, YouTube research and bodybuilding.com workouts and stuff like that. So yeah, I started off just wanting to look better and feel better about myself.
Did you have a coach at that time, or did you just self-teach yourself from all the forums and websites?
I was pretty self-taught from everything that I was doing. I learned how to like track calories and stuff like that, and started off with like really simple workouts, like run a mile, push-ups, pull-ups, things like that I could do, because at the time you couldn't be in a commercial gym or anything like that without a guardian, so I remember once I could finally get into the gym, I was at like a little YMCA, and like there's a bunch of like older people there, just like recreational lifters, and I'm like in there trying to power lift and shit and screaming and stuff. So yeah, that was me at 14 in a YMCA.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was your family supportive, like in that transition of you trying to get healthier and everything? Did you have your family's backing and your friends backing, or?
Yeah. So I had a best friend with me at the time. He also was wanting to lose weight, so we would go on runs together. My mom was supportive, single mom. She helped a lot with, the nutritional side, because she was obviously the one buying the food. So I would be like, we need to get chicken breast and rice and broccoli, typical dieting. And yeah, they were very supportive during high school and all that stuff with lifting and now and stuff like that. They're always keeping up with me. So yeah.
Good.
Great. Go ahead.
Yeah. So going from that, and now you're over at ATP, you said, and then Liberty before that. I've seen you train at Alpha Omega sometimes.
Yeah. So I've actually been training at Alpha Omega since I think it was 2018, so about 4 years ago.
Okay. I
reached out to Ralph. Then it was a little different. They had more involvement with USS and stuff like that. But yeah, they were like really big strongman gym for me because they had so much equipment, all those stones they have and different types of sandbags and yokes. So yeah, I still train out of there sometimes from time to time, but mostly out of ATP now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask, do you Is that the style of gym you like? Because you came down to Beast 2 weeks ago now, I think. So is that your style of gym, or do you prefer more of the club? And I haven't been to ATP, so I'm not sure how their setup is, but from what I see, it's very barbells, big weights, throwing
Right.
stones around type gym. Is that your preferred style?
Definitely, yeah. I like the old school feel style that Be Strong has. Alpha Omega as well. There's heavy equipment there, good equipment, and just the general vibe that you get when you're in there. Like there's not mirrors there's mirrors, but it's not like a commercial gym where there's like nothing but mirrors and people judging you, and there's nothing but cardio machines and stuff. It's mostly weights. So it's definitely my style.
Mirrors for form check, not ab check.
Right. Yeah.
So what federations are you affiliated with, for strongman, and then also your powerlifting, which federations you use?
Yeah, so when I first started powerlifting, I was mostly USPA, but this year I've done APF, which I really like APF because they don't have a start command on bench. So you just go on bench. Yeah, you just have the pause and the rack. So really like that because I struggle with the bench a lot. And for strongman, I am a Strongman Corporation pro strongman. So yeah.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
After OSG though, it'll be a Giants Live.
That's
right?
the goal. Yeah. Hopefully the podium at OSG and go to Giants Live. Yes, sir.
Well, you saw last year, Pablo Cordiaca is the one that won the Open, and he just competed in Glasgow last weekend. Showed up pretty well. So, next year, hopefully, you're back on that Giants Live stage. And then the ultimate goal, I guess, for powerlifting and strongman, what is that for you? What do you see the end result? Is there an end, or are you going to be like a Zadrunas where you're doing 187 competitions in your life?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Well, for powerlifting, my ultimate goal would be to max out that total as best I could in classic raw. Hopefully maybe squatting over 800, bench over 500, deadlift over 900, all in the same meet. That'd be really great. And then in strongman, the goal is definitely world's strongest man for sure. Okay. To get that first place win. Yeah, that's definitely my goal. I'm probably not gonna stop until I get there. So,
yeah. Is that kind of the mindset every training session as you're going in? Just do you think about the short term of OSG, APF, or is your ultimate long term mindset every set, every event, training day going towards worlds?
Yeah, when I'm in my training, I definitely think of mostly how I feel that day and how much I can push, because I definitely have been in certain points in my life where I'm just like running myself into the ground with training, because it could definitely be like a therapy, lifting heavy, right? But I mean, it also fries you mentally and physically as well, right? So I definitely do keep the OSG events in mind and the powerlifting competition in mind and stuff like that with my training. But it's mostly how I'm feeling that day and how much I can push towards those goals, because ultimately I don't want to get catastrophically injured by tearing anything or, rupturing stuff. So it's like, if I have a bad day and can barely pull, let's say 750, it's like, I would rather live to lift another day than to, kill myself in a training session. So yeah, that's how I think about it.
You're able to walk away from a difficult 750, even though goal that day was 900 on a deadlift. You can walk away and, hey, we'll get it next time.
Yeah, I'll definitely be mentally fucked up a little bit in the head, like just kind of rag on my, I am my own worst critic, I feel like. Sure. So that definitely would make me very hungry to perform better the next week, if I underperformed on deadlift one week. But overall, I do recognize it's like these weights are weights that have crushed people, they're no joke, right? You could tear your hand open, you could blow a knee out, elbow snap, something. So more so than anything, after every training session, I just feel like at least grateful that I'm in one piece still.
Awesome
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so many outside factors, when you lift in that heavy, one day I'll be at that point, but at the weights I'm lifting, there's a ton of outside factors. How'd you sleep the night before? How many
Yep.
meals did you get in before you eat? Are you stressed
Exactly.
about this? So that's a good mindset to have. That's important, especially if you're trying to reach that pinnacle.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to. You're not all good days in the gym, right? But at least you're in the gym and you get to walk out. So
Right. Yeah. Like, some people would call them excuses. I didn't sleep, I didn't eat, I'm tired, I don't feel like training. But I think, if you can't listen to that kind of feedback from your body, then how are you going to know when you're feeling good and can send it? Right. So it goes both ways.
yeah, absolutely. That's a good way to put it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Rafe, you got something?
I'm just a little preoccupied here, but keep going. I'll be with you in just a second. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good, man. I understand. Busy man.
So now you train with at ATP, and there's a few other strong women and strong men up in that gym as well, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We got a world's strongest woman, Colleen, over here.
World's strongest woman.
That's
And
right.
that was won last year. Is that right?
Well, Colleen won Arizona's strongest woman last year, but she also has the WPC deadlift record, and she's going to go for the world record soon. So yeah.
And then so she's a Strongman Corp pro as well. Then
yes, yeah, she's also pro. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So and that'll lead me into training partners or friends, family, whatever it is. Who do you see as your biggest supporter and your biggest leaning post? When you do have those off days, who helps you the most?
Definitely Colleen. She's been there through the good days and the bad days, but especially when I do like a heavy deadlift in the suit or something, she knows how to get me all strapped up and everything ready to go. And she definitely makes sure that I also eat. So yeah, sometimes we're like, I don't want to eat, but it's like you got to eat. So yeah, she's definitely my biggest support. I'm very grateful for her.
What is your diet like? Do you struggle with eating enough? Do you eat a ton? Do you what is your diet like?
Definitely a strongman seafood diet, which means that I see food and I eat it. So yeah, we're not the cleanest of eating right now, but I've definitely tried it all where I've done the 6 to 8 meals daily, where you're like eating and then 2 hours later you're hungry again because it's such clean food. This morning I had like a chocolate chip cookie and bagel for breakfast. So not doing too well with the diet, but there's always places you can improve. So diet could definitely be improved, but right now it's just getting enough calories really is the biggest concern to maintain that 308 weight class. So yeah, that's mostly the goal.
And you're at if I remember right, you're at about 310 right now. Is that right?
Yeah, about 310, 315. So we might have to do a little small water cut for worlds, but it'll be nothing. So
okay. Is maintaining that weight difficult for you, or
I would say yeah, for sure.
Really?
Like if I don't go like a week without like consistent eating, I'll probably drop down to 290 or 285 pretty quick.
Oh wow.
With just I'll burn through it. So yeah, I've definitely built from that stage where I was 14 and 140. I've built all the way up there. It was recently this year that I broke into 300 because this is probably the heaviest I've been in my whole life. So I definitely feel it when I tie my shoes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hopefully Colleen's helping you tie the shoes, or you at least went to Velcro by this point.
Right? Yeah, slip-ons.
How's that weight affected your moving events?
Moving events have always been a strength of mine, so it has affected my speed a little bit. But as I've moved up in the weight classes, the weights are heavier that are moving, so I just supplement that with making sure I'm doing speed work on the moving events, farmer speed work, yoke speed work, stuff like that helps. But other than that, for most of my life I trained like an athlete, so I'll keep like plyometrics in there and stuff like that to help like explosiveness and speed, things like that. Usually I'll take like a deload week and just work on speed. So like, maybe 65% of my top weights, and I'll just do like 3 sets of just speed work as fast as you can. you know, like on a set of farmers or something. So yeah, just incorporating it, you know, it sucks moving when you're heavy, but you know, you got to maintain that for sure for strongman.
Yeah.
Well, how much time do you normally kind of back off the weights before your event for strongman? I mean,
Yeah, so it just depends how I'm feeling, but usually it'll be like 7 to 10 days where I really take it easy and try to reduce like caffeine intake and try to sleep a lot more than usual, and just kind of not overeat, but you know, push a little bit more food as much as I can.
so kind of reducing inflammation on, you know, from lifting and some of the other stimulants, and just refueling yourself.
Right. Yeah, just kind of go back to like a baseline, and try to do like other lifts in the gym that just are like fun, you know, so do like more bodybuilding style stuff, you know.
So you back off the main lifts, kind of, you know, go 80% and just kind of have fun with everything.
Yeah, like for a back day, I'll throw in more pull-ups because I really like pull-ups, but they tend to beat up my elbows with heavy deadlifts. So I'll go lighter on deadlifts, more back work. You know, for squats, I'll substitute like a front squat instead of back squat. And then like on a bench day, instead of barbell, I'll just do some lighter dumbbells or technique work with the barbell bench. So yeah, definitely.
What's your biggest, you know, achievements so far, and then also what are you kind of shooting for here at the end of this year here, the next couple events?
Yeah, so I think
like powerlifting, for example, because you got that event coming up. Kind of you were a little bit over 2,000 at your last one. What are you shooting for this year?
Yeah, so right now we're about 2071 for the total. Goal would be to break 2100 for sure. I think up until this point, breaking into the 2000 total was really huge for me this year, because before this year, I had only ever deadlifted over 800 on a mammoth bar. So this year I made it like official on the books that I'm an over 800-pound deadlifter, which feels really good. And then the goal for Worlds is to set that world record. But on my second attempt, I'll be doing a 903, 410 kilo. So I'll break into the 900s on paper, which would be good too. So yeah, those are, yeah.
What's the other breakdown? What was your at the last one at nationals? What was your squat and what was your bench at that comp?
At nationals?
Yeah, or at your last APF meet. Sorry.
What was that?
At the last APF meet.
Yeah, so in Chicago at the last APF meet, squats didn't go so well. I only hit 727 on squat. PR'd my bench, actually got 463 there, and then got a huge PR on my deadlift, 400 kilo, 881. So yeah,
that's huge.
So half the battle sometimes going into these events is making sure you're healthy and just hitting every lift at the best you can, right?
Sorry, I missed half of that. What was that? Sorry.
I was saying going into these events, half the battle is, can we stay, you know, on it for each event and finish where we want, right?
Right.
Gym PRs are one thing, and you know you can do it. So it's just tying all the pieces together at the meet, right?
Yeah, I think like mindset and mentality going into a comp is definitely built in your prep. But on the day as well, you have to set yourself up for success, right? You got to make sure you sleep the night before, you got enough food, right? You're bringing stuff to hydrate during the meet, or, you know, if you have like, you know, your headphones that you love, you got to make sure they're charged. Just the little things, you know, that like kind of compile to make you have a better day. But more so than anything, I think going into a competition with the mindset that you just want to do the best that you possibly can is really what sets people apart, right? Because, you know, there's people who compare themselves to others, but if you're comparing yourself to you, right, that's your best case where you can progress the most. So yeah, I think if I were to win a show but do poor on my end, I wouldn't feel as good as if I lost and did better and hit PRs overall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you always want to better your own numbers, right?
Yeah, right. So that's the goal.
Are you you know, we have lifters like Melissa is a lifter that when she is on the platform, she performs. I'm the opposite. I'll perform well in the gym 100% of the time. But at a meet, man, sometimes it's just I just lose my shit. I don't know.
Yeah, same.
Where
Yeah,
do you find yourself being? Obviously, you've got some great numbers, so.
yeah, I mean, it hasn't always been successes. I've had a strongman competition where I had a pretty bad manic episode, just because of the gear I was running and everything that happened at the time, and like totally flipped out on the first event and then didn't finish the show. So I think how you prepare for that, competition day is really built in your prep, right? If you're having a shitty prep, you kind of have to look at why. Are you giving your 100% to that competition prep, or is there other things in your life that are kind of bleeding you out and you're still pushing training when you should be backing off? Which is basically what I did. I was continuing to just drive myself into the ground for this competition last year, and then I show up, I'm not performing how I want, and I end up flipping out on myself and everything. Had to leave early. So
I've been there.
Yeah.
Troy, you push it pretty hard too. It's
Oh, yeah.
we were just chatting before you jumped on. I was like, that's a deload week for me. It's been 2 years since I deloaded. I started the deload off. I'm in there and I'm pushing the 140, 150 pound dumbbells. I'm like, this ain't a deload, bro. So I just had to back off for a couple days, just take it all the way off because I don't know where I did some cardio. That's it. But
right. Yeah. No, I hear you for sure. The lifting is like a double-edged sword. It could be great, but at the same time, it can cut you pretty deep as well.
Well, and it's addicting, and it's so much more than just the physical side of things, right? It's keeping that head straight throughout your day.
Definitely, yeah. I think how you talk to yourself is like really important in training. You kind of have to take what you can get sometimes, but other times you have to tell yourself, hey, I have to push this volume. I got to get the work in, and just get better for you.
It's really hard sometimes to just accept that that's all you got this day.
Right.
As I've aged, that's easier for me. I see some of the, even Melissa, I had given up past, her age at that point. I was like, yeah, this is the best I could do this day. She won't give up. She just keeps going. So there's, I understand that. But now it's sometimes, like you said, you're either hurting yourself, if you just keep pushing. And I've injured myself multiple times doing that as well. Past 2 years, I've injured myself doing that. So backing off sometimes is the best thing you can be doing, right? Is the most productive thing.
Exactly. Yeah. When I was in high school, we were maxing out power cleans, and I kept missing 255, kept missing it. On my third attempt, finally got 255 and made it look real easy. Right. And I listened to my ego and I was like, let's throw on another 10 pounds, 265. Everyone's like, yeah, you can get it. You can get it. I dropped down to catch it, and my left elbow hits my knee in the bottom catch position. I dislocate my left wrist, and like everyone sees it, and like at the time I'm looking at my dislocated wrist, it looks like my whole arm's like broken. Right. And I'm like freaking out. I grab my wrist, it somehow slides back into place. And then instantly I just felt like just surge of blood and pain all at once because I was in so much shock. I didn't feel anything at the time, but there was no video of it, but everyone was like, that could have been so bad, and all you came out with was a broken wrist, so you're like lucky to be alive type deal. But yeah, I was listening to my ego, not really not really taking what I got at 255, so yeah.
You started really getting into weights young then, and did you have any other sports that you played along the way?
Yeah, so I'm mostly lifted to get better at football, but then around freshman and sophomore year I did wrestling. Junior year I took off sports because of the wrist injury and really built up my strength, and then senior year came back as starting DN on my football team, and I was the starter for the 220 weight class in my wrestling team. So yeah.
Which one of those two, football or wrestling, did you find helps you with strongman and powerlifting mentality side of things, and also the physical side of things? Do you feel like you can attribute some of those things you learned, in football or wrestling toward what you do today?
Definitely. Yeah. I had some great coaches in football that wouldn't let me quit. When we were getting conditioning and stuff like that, everyone loves conditioning. but I was not the best at it. So football definitely taught me like conditioning and like being a team player for sure. And then in wrestling, it was much more like mindset, because it's like it was you versus someone else, and there's no one else out there, right? So it's like you got to prepare yourself for the best and the worst kind of deal, right? And we had just this crazy, like old Irish coach. He was like 5'2", but he could like throw anyone in the gym or in the school. He was like a state champion. He was insane. His name was Mr. Flanagan, and I really attribute a lot of his coaching to building my mindset, where you have to get the work in, and you have to progress yourself at a steady rate, right? Because we would start our practices would start with a run. So at the beginning of the season, it'd be like a 1 mile run, but by the end of the season, you're running like 4 miles just to warm up, right? So things like that, where it's like you're making those small adjustments week to week, and it's building up to this huge result, right? And you're being patient with yourself, because wrestling is pretty brutal sport, where it's like you could take them down and they'll flip you over on your back real quick and you just lost. So it's like I've been in situations like that. I've been in situations where I beat this kid yesterday, and the next day at the tournament he beats me. So it's like, what do? You're gonna kind of got to keep your head up high and continue on. So
a lot of it sounds like you gained a lot through just the mental, because as a young kid, sometimes you only know what the top is, right? And
Right.
That's all I can do. And the coach is like, no, you can do a lot more than that, right? And they keep you to keep pushing. So do you find yourself needing a coach nowadays? Or are you able to self-motivate and with your experience and your lifting now get to that next level where you still have mentors out there that you reach out to once you get stuck on certain lifts, certain head spots?
Yeah, I've definitely had a lot of help from people in the gym, watching me, give me advice here and there. And I'm always like willing to listen to them, because I don't know everything, but being able to listen to other people and hear what works for them, or, maybe they see something that I can't, has definitely helped me. But up until this year, I hadn't had a coach, but currently my coach is Luke Davies. He's one of the top 105 kg strongmen. I think his best I think he has the world record deadlift still at 420 kilo, which is 925, I think 925 as a middleweight, right? So just insane. So I definitely like see the value of his coaching, because he's like, having me work on certain things that I wouldn't force myself to work on, right? Like core work, volume after deadlifts, stuff like that, where it really comes into play when you're having to perform on comp day, right? Have you done those reps? Have you, done the training that you need to be physically ready, not just mentally ready as well. So yeah, I definitely appreciate coaching and a different perspective for sure.
Do you feel that for like some new lifters that are looking for coaches or intermediates, do you feel like the coach needs to be stronger than the athlete in order to be a good coach?
I think it definitely helps, but it's not necessary. I've seen some trainers take people to other heights because they have a good relationship. The trainer knows that person's limits, but that person as well is willing to push their own limits. So that kind of relationship works well for them. Because I have a buddy right now, he's stronger than his coach, but he looks at the training and programming that his coach gives him, and he follows it to basically a T as much as he can, but still listens to his own body, right? Like if after the first 4 exercises, he can't do the last 2 and it's already 10 p.m., you got to go home and sleep and eat, all these things, then he is going to, do the latter and take care of himself in the recovery first. So I think it just really depends. Not to say that weaker coaches aren't good, but I think it takes a lot more than just being strong to be able to coach somebody.
For sure. I do. I think where you stand on this, Troy, I personally think that you have to have a certain standard of strength to be able to push certain numbers. I mean, it'd be very hard for someone that can only deadlift 315 to teach you how to deadlift 900. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So there's a certain amount there, but yeah, and there's a lot of guys that end up passing their coaches, and that's a telltale sign of a good coach then at the same time, right?
Yeah, and
Definitely.
that is the goal of the coach, right? Like, I mean,
Right.
all my athletes, I want them to pass me someday. I mean, they won't, but you know,
Right.
maybe we'll get them there. You know,
Yeah.
no, and I think it's interesting that as a open pro, you have a weight class athlete as a coach. Like, you know, I don't know the statistics behind it, but I'm going to say that is a very rare situation for a lot of people because, you know, I do fall into that category that Rafe was talking about. My coach has to be stronger than me in at least some of my lifts. I either need them to be a technician with form or they've got to be stronger than me. You know, I've got to know that there's more that I can do. And I think, like, you know, if my coach was deadlifting 315, but I'm chasing an 800-pound deadlift, it is going to be hard for me to tell him, you know, hey, that weight's just like crushing me today. You know, can he understand that? That would be my concern, right? Is like, could he relate to those weights? But I guess relatively, you know, his 275 is probably comparable to my 725, you know, on the pressure on his body, I guess, right? But no, that's pretty interesting. That, and now, does he do your strongman and your powerlifting programming?
Just the strongman programming,
Just the strongman
powerlifting programming. I kind of throw it in myself. Like with squats on back squats, heavy volume for back squats really beats up my hips. So I'll more kind of like peak out that squat, but I'll build the back squat with heavier front squats, right? So getting in the volume there, and then kind of transitioning over slowly to back squats, because back squats are like, I think, the hardest lift, really. There's so much that can go wrong.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
yeah, he does mostly my strongman programming.
Okay. And I mean, within that, I'm sure there is some powerlifting aspects to it anyway. Right. You know, not many strongmen do a flat bench, but, you know, throw that in on your log press day, you know, I guess. But
So
Exactly.
you're what are you sitting at body weight roughly? You might have mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, so currently like 310, 315-ish right now.
Do you have any idea? Because people always ask me, like, how many calories you eat in a day? You know, it's like, you know how that goes. I'm sure everybody asks. So, but do you have an idea kind of where you're at right now? Does it change when you're 10 weeks out and you're just eating compared to 2 weeks before? Are you ramping the food up? You know, how do you do it as a strongman?
Yeah, as a strongman, I think currently I'm kind of doing it where it's like I try to eat as much as I can when I'm hungry, because the ultimate goal is to try to get at least over 5,000, 6,000 calories. But some days it's really like maybe only 3,500 or 4,000. It just goes based off to like how I'm feeling as well. Like there's some days where I'll barely eat like 2 or 3 huge meals. There's other days where I'm like eating 4 or 5 times, waking up in the middle of the night and eating. So it just depends really, but the ultimate goal really is to not let myself go too hungry for too long, and then also not like completely overstuff myself where I'm puking, because I can eat a lot of food, but you know, if I'm puking it out, then the point kind of defeats itself, right? So yeah, I would say generally around about 5,000 calories is where I sit pretty comfortably.
How many meals are you doing that in a day? 5,000.
Usually like 3 to 4 meals. Yeah.
So you're actually, for a big dude, you're actually not eating that many calories, because
Right.
At a 220 pounds, I'm eating 5,000 calories a day. You know, I'm 250 now. I'm saying, you know, and we're going to ramp it up even more. So, you know, I think that has a lot to do with muscle density, genetics, you know, just how your body utilizes fuel more. Obviously, you know, you can always add more fuel to be stronger, right? But
Right.
what type of sources are you eating? You said you kind of just eat everything, just whatever you're
Yeah,
feeling.
basically just eat everything. But
You have a Troy diet, or is Troy more like 80-20?
honestly, it's probably like 50-50. Like 50% of the time I'm eating shit, 50% of the time it's healthy food or decent, you know, macros with good protein and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you meal prep at all, or is it all on the fly, grab what we can?
It's usually on the fly, grab what we can. Yeah, lots of Subway, or sometimes we'll throw like Costco pizza in there and stuff like that. So
Well, you're also burning an extreme amount of calories training strongman. I don't think people really realize how much effort goes into that. I mean, max effort lifts on any sport, or max effort at that top echelon, there's a ton of calories that are burned. So you can get away with a little bit more sometimes.
Definitely, yeah. I think too, with the training being like 3-4 hours long, it's really just trying to get in the food that you can, that won't mess you up too much for the next day, and getting enough calories in, right? Because it'd be great if I could eat sirloin steak and rice all day, but that would also take a lot of time to digest and get down, right? And it would just be another factor of the training that I have to add in, and it would definitely level me up. But right now it's more so focused on training mindset, and the food is kind of on the back burner right now because I have the body weight that I need. So
You eat during training?
What's that?
Do you ever eat during training, or is that a no-go?
Oh yeah, sometimes we'll down like a bag of Sour Patch Kids or like Reese's or something. Yeah, we'll put some.
I was about to ask, are you one of them gummy guys that eats all the gummy worms and stuff?
It's a strongman thing, of course.
We definitely have quick carbs on hand if we're feeling lightheaded or a little bit tired. Sometimes you get hungry during training, so yeah, just a little quick snack sometimes during training will help. I used to like blend up avocado, rice, and beef and drink it. So sometimes I would just do that. But yeah, that was probably like last year. So
was that gross?
Yeah, it was not easy, but definitely very nutritious and definitely very beneficial on performance.
Oh, I've blended a lot of shit before, but blending an avocado sounds terrible.
Yeah, it kind of has like the consistency of baby food without a little bit of water added to it. So it's not the best, but yeah, when I was eating like 6-7 meals a day, my jaw would just lock up, so I'd like blend it and just drink it as fast as I could.
We're gonna have to have a little contest, and we're gonna have Troy lose so he can freaking drink a shake here. I've done it all the time. I used to do that all the time. So
chicken shake real quick. Yeah. No, that's right.
No, if it doesn't have ice cream in it, it's not getting blended.
We'll throw some ice cream in with your steak, bro.
Yep.
Real quick, I wanted to ask, I know you said you had a hard stop time. I believe you got a client after this, right?
Let me double check real quick. It doesn't look like they confirmed with me from earlier, but yeah, I think we're okay. I don't think they're coming.
All right, whenever you gotta go, let us know. I did want to touch on and kind of just backtrack a little bit. Your training split and your training style. What does that look like just for regular, trying to build up your strengths and your speed? What does that look like? And then also, how does that change for you when you're doing a powerlifting comp 1 week and then going into one of the biggest strongman competitions in the world the very next week? Does it change at all for you? So kind of just take us through that real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So it's definitely not an easy task, but it's definitely doable, right? So like on these past couple of weeks, I've been focusing more on heavy back squat. So I kind of cut out the front squats that I do before my deadlifts, just to kind of save my knees and hips for like a heavier squat day. Say like on a Thursday, I usually start with the biggest lift of the week, which is deadlift on Monday or Tuesday. Then I'll do a log or bench day for like the second day, right? Take a rest day. Try not to train more than 3 days in a row.
Okay.
So that's really key. Sometimes I can train 3 days in a row, but usually it's just train 2 days, take a rest day, train 2 days, take the weekend off. And then usually what we're doing is a lot of variations for kind of further out, right? So we were doing a lot of axle deadlifts from different heights to help build that axle deadlift. And then eventually from the floor now, because at OSG, it'll be 700 for reps on the axle.
From the ground?
What's that?
Is that from the ground at a 9-inch height?
Yeah, so it'll be from the ground, but the way they have it set up is like on monster wheels, and then you're on a platform. So it's still from the standard height, but it's like raised up. It's just a look. It's just a look, right?
This looks cool. Yeah.
yeah. Strongman's about looking cool. Yeah. So then With the powerlifting, right? Like for example, my back squat, I would start off with really conservative triples and sets of 5 with back squat, just in sleeves, because I usually compete with wraps, right? So about 8 weeks ago, PR'd my sleeve squat with 605 for a really easy 3. And then from there, kind of built up with my sleeve squat to I think it was 300 kilos, 661. So I like to build up the sleeve squat and then put on the reps kind of later in prep, closer to like 4 weeks out. And so now I've been using the reps more often and practicing singles really, and getting the volume in that way, right? Because in powerlifting, you're only as good as your 1 rep. Right. So warm-ups don't look like sets of 10, things like that. It'll be like multiple singles at the same weight over and over again until it feels good, you know. So if I have, let's say, 3 plates on the bar and I've done 2 singles with it, it still doesn't feel good, I'll do 2 more singles with it and then move up. So things like that, really listening to my body and taking what's there on the day, because you still got to train the next day, right? That's the mindset. So you can push as much as you'd like today, but how is that going to set you back or set you up for the next training day, really? And then with powerlifting, it's a lot easier than strongman, right? Because you're moving weights with strongman, you're moving heavy yoke, you're shouldering bags, things like that, where it's like much more taxing, I would say. So I would save those strongman movements for like a strongman Saturday, where I could just at the end of the week really test myself and kind of fry it out. But during the week, I would try to get more, accessory work in, get more of the power lifts done, where I'm more fresh in the week to get those done, and just kind of really monitor volume with how I'm feeling, right? So if I have 6 exercises prescribed for a deadlift day and I only get through 3, then I'm going to take where I can get it and try to get those accessories in later in the week if I can. But if not, right, recognize that I might not be getting in the volume that I need. So like if I don't get the volume I need, on a week 1, on week 2, I'm really making sure that at least from week 1 to week 2, the volume was increased, right? So progressing in that fashion, and just kind of taking it by ear, really. So, yeah.
So it sounds like you do like a 2 on 1 off, 2 on 2 off split most of the time, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you'll hit a Saturday in there for some strongman. So
Right.
you really keep the rest, a lot of rest and repair that you're utilizing, where some of us bodybuilders like to train 6-7 days a week and end up dying. So I've backed off as well. But
yeah, bodybuilders are a lot better at the diet part though. So I feel like they can afford to train that way a little better.
I think Troy and I talk about this all the time. What's overtraining? Is it under resting, under fueling, or are you just in the gym too much, right? So if you can get enough food and rest, then you can train as much as you want.
Exactly. I definitely believe that. And there's only under recovering, not really overtraining.
I'm in the same boat for sure.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to kind of find that sweet spot on that split for you? Like that 2 on 1 off, how far into your career? And again, I mean, it's relatively new, but you've been lifting for so long now. When did you kind of figure that out?
I would say after I deadlifted 700, I figured that I can't do 6 days a week really anymore. Because, by that 5th, 6th day, I'm just like, I don't even want to be here. Mentally it's just fried out. So like right when I had started deadlifting in the 700s was when I did 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on. So really 4 days and then 3 days rest. And that really helped me progress to where I am now. Now though, it's anywhere from either 4 or sometimes 5 days. So it just depends on like how much volume I'm needing to get in. Some days it'll be like a quick session, other days it'll be like 4 hours. So yeah.
Just training for OSG and then also for America's Strongest Man. Are there any events that are doubled up on those? So has that made it easier for you at all, or are they like completely different events? So you're training 10 events?
Yeah. So like in America's Strongest Man, they have max log, car deadlift, There is a medley in there with the sandbag. So we've been doing lots of sandbags for OSG. So that'll be good. There's power stairs at America's Strongest, and then there's also a max sandbag load. So I would say all the sandbag work with OSGs really helped me out because I'm shouldering like 350 now for decent reps and sets. So that's definitely helped me out. And then building up that axle deadlift has definitely helped across the board because I think axle deadlift's like the worst thing in the world.
Oh yeah, it's miserable.
Yeah, it's absolutely miserable.
Yeah. Well, and if you take someone like Graham Hicks, right? Like, and I don't know, now he's kind of gotten a little better about it, but before he wouldn't touch a barbell. It was only axle deadlifts for him because they suck so bad that,
Yeah.
I mean, that 700 pounds is 700 at 9 inches. It doesn't matter, you know? So, and then you get on a barbell that, you know, flexes and now you're at, you know, 12 inches before you're actually pulling slack. So, have you noticed that the axle deadlift has helped your conventional powerlifting deadlift?
Yes, it definitely has. Training on the axle has definitely helped with a deadlift bar, like powerlifting style. I would say though, with axle deadlift, you do have to be a little bit more straight-legged and kind of more in front of yourself.
Mhm.
Whereas like a standard deadlift bar, you can really get in position and use your weight as a counterbalance. So right now I'm kind of struggling with, you know, still keeping that bar as close as I can. And then grip as well, right? Because with the axle deadlift, you use figure 8 straps because there's no way that anyone could deadlift over 600 with just their grip, right? So the figure 8 straps definitely hindered my grip a little bit, but we're still training farmers and stuff like that to build up the grip. So actually today grip was feeling pretty good on deadlift, so I think I'll be okay for a over 900 deadlift at the comp. So yeah.
And how do you train your grip strength? Just heavy holds? You do like carrying a 10-pound plate around with your weak finger and thumb, or how are you doing it?
So grip, I like to definitely train heavy deadlift, right? So over under. I'll do most of my warm-ups with deadlift, or not most, I'll do like half of my warm-ups with just double over grip. So I'll deadlift like no straps. Yeah. So I'll deadlift like up to 500 with just double over grip and kind of gauge where I'm feeling there. Like if the grip doesn't feel strong, then for a few warm-up sets, I'll throw in some straps. And then for the top sets, I'll use just my over under grip. And then heavy farmers as well, just training the heavy farmer pick because there's smooth handles, right? So it's like, it's a different handle feel. It's not knurled where it's like biting your hand. And then pull-ups as well, just being able to do pull-ups at my body weight, I think has really helped a lot.
Yeah, being 310, that definitely helps.
Yes, for sure.
I did want to ask, and I'm not going to touch on all of them, but let's talk about the big ones. What is your max log right now, gym or comp? What's your max log at?
Best log single is 405 right now.
405.
Yeah.
Which was also your axle press. Was it that got you your OSG qual? Was it 405?
Yeah. So the axle press, I ended up doing 414 when they weighed it up. Yeah. So a 414 axle push press. Yeah. So.
And then deadlift, what's your best in the gym right now? I know you're going 903-ish, but what's your best in the gym right now?
Best in the gym is with a deadlift suit, figure 8 straps, 905.
905.
Yeah. But from the wagon wheels, we've also done 905 with just straps, no suit. So yeah.
You're like right there.
Yeah. Right there on the pinnacle right there.
Yeah.
And best stone load to like 44, 48 inch platform.
Best stone load to 48 platform was over at Alpha Omega. They have a big blue stone 465.
465.
Yeah.
And that's 22 inch.
Yep, 22 inch.
Yeah, absolutely miserable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to look at those things, but never touch them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stones are scary, honestly.
Yeah.
Got any other questions, Troy? Or
I mean, I think that touches on most everything I wanted to know and what I think people want to know. I mean, I
how
definitely.
Tall are you?
Oh yeah, how tall are you?
Oh, I'm about 6'3" on a good day.
6'3" on a good day, depending on the
6'3",
you're walking out of.
310.
Depends on how much I squat or deadlift that day. Yeah.
Right. 5 years from now, it'll be 6'1".
Be right. Yeah. Better deadlift leverage though.
Speaking of that, real quick, let's touch on that. What is your recovery like? Do you see a chiropractor? Do you see a masseuse? Do you do cupping? What's your recovery?
Yeah. So I'll actually see one of my friends, Naveed. He's a PT out of Tempe, I believe. He does I think he's with Aptitude Performance. So he'll do like cupping, dry needling, like flossing, manual therapy, stuff like that. Me and Colleen try to see him at least once a month. Sometimes we like twice a month just to get like the little like nagging, joints kind of in place. Cause I'll have like my left elbow, I'll have like a little bit of golfer's elbow. My left knee kind of flares up right there below the, patellar tendon, just little things. So we see him probably at least once a month.
Nice. And then do you stretch after the workouts? Do you do anything like that? Or are you like most of us that don't stretch at all?
So I do very minimal mobility work now. I used to do a lot more mobility work. But now I just do barely enough to get warm for the deadlift or squat or bench or whatever I'm doing that day. Mostly what I'll end up doing is just taking more warm-up sets with like the empty log or like, very light weights and just make sure my technique is there. And then whatever feels tight that day, tight lats or sometimes tight quads and hips. So it's really not that much, maybe like 5 or 10 minutes of warming up. But yeah, it's definitely something I can improve on.
I think we were all like that when we were younger, but man, as you get a little bit older, that shit tightens up on you.
Yeah. I don't want to sound like the old timer here, but in a couple of years, you're going to have to do a little bit more stretching. I found that out the hard way.
Yeah, no, I figure that.
So do you ever feel like a semi parked on you when you wake up in the morning and you're like, man, was there a truck just laying on me? I'm just broken to hell. Or do you repair pretty well? You got a lot of central nervous system overload all the time, especially the last 4 to 6 weeks out from a meet.
Yes,
how are you feeling?
I'm definitely limping around frequently during the week. Getting out of bed can be very hard sometimes, but yeah, I definitely have to roll myself into the bathroom sometimes. Hot shower definitely helps. Hot shower definitely helps. But other than that, I think just telling myself that this is kind of what I have to be able to endure to get to where I want to get to. Like if I'm not feeling this way, then I would be feeling kind of off, kind of different. I'm like, I'm not sore. What's going on? I should be sore. So
are you really working if you're not feeling it, right?
Right, exactly. So just feeling it basically day in, day out and trying to listen to, is that soreness and fatigue, or is that something we should listen to and back off and, live to lift another day, basically.
Awesome.
Smart lifting.
It's a lot, so when was your first powerlifting meet that you've ever done?
First powerlifting meet was 2019. It was up in Oregon. And yeah, there I totaled, I think 1845.
Yeah.
That's your first one.
Yeah, at the first one. Yep. Yeah.
And then Strongman, did you get into that a little bit later?
Yeah, so I did powerlifting first, and then Strongman came just after that with Strongman Nationals in 2020.
So we're talking 3 to 4 years. Not even 3 years, and this is where you're at. So you've come a long way for a young dude, obviously. This is some good accolades you got underneath your belt already. So we expect you to be the world's strongest man from Arizona. That's what we want.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that's the goal for sure. That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah,
definitely on the way.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, we love having you on, man. We'll have to get your wife on here at some point too. We'll put all of our Instagram links here in the bottom of this YouTube video for everybody to see. Everybody will follow Roy. Roy, do you want to tell us what your Instagram is and your contact info?
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on. My Instagram is Roy_Gains. And then Colleen and I also just started another Instagram page called World's Strongest Smokers. So yep, we're going for that little title there. So
it's there, yeah.
We'll have to check it out.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Well, right on. It's great having you. We'll we'll catch up with you soon. We'll be following your events, and best of luck to you here at the end of the year.
Thank you so much. I appreciate both of you guys so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Roy.
Appreciate it.